maybe something came up for the other people last minute.
One lady actually called to confirm that she was on the list.
Aw.
Well, she may not be feeling well. She's had quite a couple of years.
Aw. Yeah, something, maybe they'll come to the next one.
Well, I know I got a bunch of people. I got already a couple of people on the list, so once we pick a day, then more people will sign up.
Maybe we should charge a deposit, you get your deposit
Are
back
we
and
ready?
show up.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate you being here. My name is Susanne. I'm from the neighborhood, obviously. So, what I wanted to tell you a little bit about chocolate. I think everybody knows a lot about chocolate. If you saw how chocolate was processed, you wouldn't eat it. Trust me. If you saw what it looked like in the pod, it comes in a big pod. And when they crack it open, on the inside it's a bunch of white little soft mushy things. And then they take that out and then they dry it out. Once it's dried out, then they roast it. Then once it's roasted, then they grind it. And once they grind it, then you add butter to it, you add certain kinds of liqueurs to them, you know, like an alcohol, so, and then you wind up with chocolate. Now, white chocolate doesn't have as much butter in it as milk chocolate. Dark chocolate is not as creamy as milk chocolate. So, a lot of people think that, well, milk chocolate's boring in some ways if you don't add flavors to it. And some people find that they don't like dark chocolate because it has a little bit of a bitter taste. But more and more cocoa is coming out at 75, 90%. The higher the percentage, the better the cocoa is. The problem with that is not sweet. It has a bit of a bitter overtone to it. But for the most part, most dark chocolates are really good. I like all kinds of chocolate. So now, I brought some paper bowls. So give you an idea of the process of making chocolate. It depends on what you have. Now, if you have Belgian chocolate, that's a whole different process than just gluten-free chocolate, or this chocolate doesn't have a whole lot of milk content in it. Gluten-free is the same process. The only difference is when you put the gluten-free in your microwave, you do 30 seconds, stir it, 30 seconds, stir it. It might take you 3 or 4 times to get it melted. Once it's melted, then you can do whatever you want with it. You can dip anything, you can dip strawberries in it, you can dip grapes in it, you can dip pretzels, you can dip anything that you'd like. When you're dealing with Belgian chocolate, you can't use a glass bowl. If you use a glass bowl, it's going to burn your chocolate. So the process is similar. You put it in your plastic bowl, put it in for 30 seconds, take it out, stir it. You always have to stir the chocolate because if it stays in one spot too long, it's gonna burn, all of them. So then you put it back in again and you do it again. Now everybody's microwave is different. So you have to test your microwave and see that when the chocolate, the Belgian chocolate gets to a point where some of it's creamy and some of it is not melted, you keep it out. And you keep stirring it because the heat of itself will finish melting the rest of it, and that's how you temper it. If you want to temper it the old-fashioned way, you gotta get a pot, put it on the stove, you gotta fill it with water because your bowl cannot touch the water, and then you gotta put it into the bowl, and you gotta let the water simmer, and then you gotta keep stirring it. Then you have to get a thermometer, and you have to put a thermometer in. So when you put the thermometer in, it goes to a certain degree. You gotta take it out, and then you gotta let it cool down, put it back in again, stir it again, and to bring it up to another temperature. But you can do it in the microwave if you watch how you're doing it, because if the Belgian chocolate isn't done right, it'll turn white, it won't have a snap to it, and it won't be shiny. So if you're doing the Belgian chocolate, then you'll know when it's okay when you put it on a piece of wax paper, and as soon as it dries up, it's shiny, you're good. If it's a matte color, it's no good. It'll melt in your hand the minute you touch it. So that's what happens with that. So I'm happy, really happy that I found out how to make it in the microwave because it saves a lot of time and a lot of trouble because Belgian chocolate's expensive to begin with. And now with the prices that have gone up, boom, it's really a lot of money. So now we're gonna do this. I brought a Lollipop Mold. So, cause I thought that would be a little simpler, to show you how the lollipops are made. They're all pretty much the same concept. They all run in different sizes. You can make them in different flavors, whatever you wanna do, whatever you're comfortable with. Now, when I show you this one, that should be enough to fill that up, make the three of them. I might as well make them. Now, if you make a mistake, if you're making chocolate, and you make a little mistake, you could do one of two things. You could enjoy it, or you can just remelt it. Even if it's a color, if you're doing colored chocolate, and it's not a lot of color, you can still break that piece up that you made a mistake on, and you still remelt it, cause it won't change the flavor. Cause all your colors are actually vanilla chocolate, it's all made out of the white chocolate. And the only way the colors, they will not change the flavor, but you can change the flavor if you add oils to it. If you add peppermint, it'll taste like peppermint. If you make green chocolate, you wanna add the peppermint. If you make red and you wanna add a cherry oil, that's the only way you can do that. So, I need a napkin here. I'm gonna put the spoon here. So now we're gonna see this microwave that I've never used before. I like my daughter said to me, Mom, please don't set it on fire.
A quick tidbit, we did set the table at the US Bowl Festival on fire.
But not our fault.
It's actually
Just saying.
her fault, but we got it.
It's always my fault. The problem was, we had the burners going to keep the hot dogs warm. So of course, you know, I had napkins out there for the people, so I put the napkins next to the hot dogs. So the burner caught the napkin on fire, and then that napkin started setting everything else on fire.
Well, before it did, it almost set me on fire.
I was sitting there, I was like, why is my neck getting hot? And I'm looking, I see the flame, I was like, fire! She's standing in front of the table talking to people, she's like, where?
And I'm running around the table, I'm like, oh, I was like, Annette, the tablecloth, she's like, I know, Mom, I know, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll help you. In the meantime, I was
She's
like,
moving
okay.
stuff on the table towards the
That
flame.
was 30 seconds now.
This was 30? Okay. Alright, now this is the first one. Now see, this microwave melted quicker than mine. Because everybody's microwave, it might be the same size, but
Right.
they're all different. So now, yeah, look how quickly this one melted. So that's a nice smooth. Now, if this was in a glass bowl, when your chocolate gets this is regular chocolate, this is not the Belgian chocolate. Your gluten-free or any other chocolate that you use that's not Belgian chocolate, in a glass bowl, you just keep mixing it because it melts itself. Because a glass bowl stays hot. It'll stay hot. So you just keep mixing it. If you don't think it's smooth enough, you can put it back in for a couple of seconds. But this one, that's a good microwave. Wow.
You know why, Ma? It's probably because it's smaller. Maybe holds
Oh
the heat
yes,
better.
I have two different size microwaves in the shop. I have a really big one.
That melted that, ready?
Look at, see, it melted itself. So now you have a nice chocolate that you can work with. I can take my gloves off now.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was always told that white chocolate wasn't really chocolate.
Well, that's because it doesn't have certain components in it like milk chocolate does. It doesn't have a lot of butter, and it doesn't have a lot of emollients in it. That's why you'll notice if you're melting it, it tastes different. But every company that sells white chocolate, they all taste different. They all use a different kind of method to make different kinds of chocolates.
It's also very sweet.
Some of them are. Some of them can be.
And some really
What I do
don't
with
melt,
my,
they get all
Really
crummy.
Lumpy.
Yeah,
I'm looking
lumpy.
for my other shopping bag.
Right? There's nothing in it. I took everything out. What are you looking for?
This one, the sticks.
Right here.
Wait. Oh, right in front of me.
I put
Yeah.
them up there as a fan was on. I didn't want to blow them on the floor.
And I have glasses on. Okay. Now, you can get sticks pretty much any place. This is from Dollar General. I get a lot of my supplies locally because for me to order certain things off the computer, you have to buy a lot. I have no place to put it, you know, because my shop is so tiny.
You want a heavy chair?
So now, So now you take your mold is nice and clean. When you wash your molds, it depends on, like I have hard water here. So when I wash my molds, I have to dry them right away. Because if I don't, there's spots all over them. So when you go to put candy in there, when your candy comes out, no matter what candy you use it, you'll see a little tiny film. Wherever the dry spots are, you'll have it on your chocolate. So you always gotta make sure.
Don't ever wash them with soap. I made that mistake.
Yes.
For molds.
It has to
No
be.
soap.
Yes, because the soap does the same
Film.
thing.
Will
It
leave
leaves
film.
a film. So when you're doing your molds, make sure your water's at least a good warm to hot, you know, because sometimes if my water, because I have a little tiny hot water heater over there, it's this big. So when I'm washing it, I have to wash it, turn it off, and then wipe it, and then turn it back on again, wipe it again. So, and I have special sponges that I use. Some of my sponges are used for dishes, some of the sponges I have are used for molds, and some I have are used for something else in the shop. Because I have so many different things that I use. So that's what you gotta find your comfort zone. So when you oh, can you see?
Yes.
Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. This is the good stuff in here. So what you wanna do is you take it, and it depends on, some people are comfortable with a bigger spoon, some people are comfortable with a smaller spoon. As you're making chocolates, you'll do that, you'll figure out what you're comfortable with.
Spoon in the mouth is probably the most comfortable
Yes.
for me.
And sometimes, as hard as you might try not to get chocolate all over the place, it goes all over the place. When you have too much chocolate in your mold and it overflows, don't try to clean it off when it's wet, because it just makes a mess. You leave it there, and as soon as it's done in the refrigerator, that's when you can actually peel the chocolate off. When it gets nice and hard, you wipe it right off. Now, when you put your chocolate in, you have to tap it, because otherwise you're gonna get bubbles. Sometimes the bubbles, you'll see them in the back, and sometimes in the front you don't see them. So when you're a finished product, when you take it out, you look, there's little holes all over the place. So, and then you gotta get the right size stick for whatever mold you're making, for whatever lollipop. And then you make sure, if you're not sure, you check your sticks and check your mold first to figure out where you're gonna put your stick. You don't wanna put it up too far, because you bite into it, you're gonna bite into a stick. So this one shows you just take just enough, because this mold doesn't need a lot of stick. This one is a basic size stick for most lollipops. The only time you'll need a bigger stick,
You want me to hold that one?
oh yeah, if you put it in the refrigerator, I can show you how. You know, should I make two
You just
more or
lay it
one
flat.
more?
Yep.
In the fridge.
Alright, that'll be the next one. That'll be the next one.
I don't know
So
you want me to
when
put
that
this
is done, now every few minutes you check it. You know, because if you leave it in too long with any kind of chocolate, if you put it in the refrigerator, it's gonna turn white if you leave it in. So every few minutes you go and you check it, and you see how it's doing, you see, because everybody's refrigerator is the same thing, everybody's refrigerator is different. So some people like their stuff colder, some people don't like their stuff that cold. So every few minutes you check it, and you see how it looks, is it getting hard? When you go to check it, when you go to take your stick out, and you have the mold, I should have brought another mold, but if you have, like, this is your mold here, and you take it out of the refrigerator, and you go to take it and it doesn't move, put it back in. Because if you try to take it out, it's gonna break. The straw is gonna pop out of it. It has to be completely cold in order for it to come out. Otherwise, you're gonna start all over again. Yeah, which is a pain. So this is gonna take several minutes to get cold. So while that's getting cold, use that, and that. Alright, this is what we're gonna start with. These are Biscottis. Now these are dipped in chocolate. There's another bag here, but okay. Alright, here's these guys. Here's this. Okay. Here's napkins. Now, with any kind of chocolate, you can dip anything. Cookies, if you have a plain sugar cookie and you wanna just decorate it really quickly, dip it in some chocolate of your choice. While it's wet, make sure that you lay down, you want wax paper, because when you put your chocolate down, if you don't have wax paper, you're not getting it up. It's not coming off the cookie sheet, it's not coming off your counter, and,
It's a little, punching thing going. The clickers.
oh, you got it, okay.
Oh, I hate these gloves, just so you know.
I know, I need these gloves too.
I know, I hate the two, but it's like a necessary thing.
You ready? Okay. Make sure you get a spot.
I explained I won't go around the lot.
Hold on, I need
We have more gloves if you need more gloves.
My mom has the smallest hands, Mom and Ann. You have little hands.
You referred to gluten-free chocolate before. I was under the impression that all chocolate is gluten-free. Is that not right?
No, no. There's some of them are, a lot of people can't have certain kinds of things in their treats, you know, but gluten-free doesn't have, I make a lot of gluten-free at the shop for children, mostly for children. They can't have gluten because it upsets them, and I also can do colors in gluten-free as well. You know, thank heavens, because this way everybody gets the same exact thing. You know how children are. How come that one is not like mine? And it's like I put everything together. So now, these are biscottis. Biscottis are hard, they're crumbly, they're chewy. So when you dip it in the hot chocolate, it doesn't change the flavor of the biscotti. In most cases, it doesn't change the consistency either. So, but it does change the flavor, because it does taste really much better. It does. It tastes so much better. And then,
I have none here.
oh, okay. Now that's, well, look at all the leftovers we have. Ooh, if anybody wants more, we got more.
Which one do you wanna do now?
Alright, now this one is something that's rather.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, I apologize.
You weren't sitting.
You were on chocolate patrol.
We have more. We have more. Now the best way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you kinda have to be sitting to you.
Yeah.
He can't have it, he's gluten free.
I wish I'd known. I would have brought you gluten free,
It's totally fine.
and you would have liked it too.
You know what, you're just
I
gonna have to
had
come by
yours.
the shop.
I've had yours in the shop. I know it's good.
Yeah.
See, I tell you.
Okay, now you wanna tell what these are? Well,
Now-
don't tell them yet. Let them figure it out.
Okay.
I can tell by looking at them.
Now the reason I chose the biscottis is because I like to make them soft, you know, because biscottis they always taste like they're stale, but they're not. And other ways, I take them and I dip them, even when I put them in chocolate, I'll dip them in a cup of tea, I'll dip them in a cup of coffee, softens them up a little bit, I like that. And it kinda melts the chocolate at the same time, so I like that. And,
That's a long list of things.
but sugar cookies is great, you can dip sugar cookies in there. Even if you're doing chocolate chip cookies, you dip them in any kind of chocolate you like, that adds a nice flavor. And, what else? You can make strawberry, you can take your sugar cookies and dip them in a strawberry chocolate, you can dip them in raspberry chocolate, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, gluten-free. If you have gluten-free cookies, you can do that as well. They taste pretty good. Now these, does anybody know what these are? Ed's like, yep,
The gummy bears.
they're gummy bears.
You tasted it, didn't you? Really? Oh, okay.
I dip them in chocolate. It's very tedious because I dip one at a time.
You have both flavors in here too.
Yes, I have all
All
different
three.
flavors, yes. So, that's something, I also dip Swedish fish in dark chocolate. And, you know,
It's a red
the
thing.
little red fish,
Oh,
it's really, really good because they're actually, the red fish actually have like a strawberry or a raspberry flavor. So when you dip them in chocolate, it just enhances it, I mean, it takes it to the next level. And I'm not a gummy bear person or a Swedish fish, I'm just strictly chocolate. So when I started making these, a customer had came in and asked, "Do you have them?" I said, "No, but I'll get some." So I went and I bought the nice fruity ones, and I dipped them all in chocolate, and I tasted one, I was like,
this is really good.
Then somebody else came in, not at the same time, like a year later, and they were like, "Do you have dipped Swedish fish?" I said, "Swedish in chocolate? I had it once. It was so good." Okay, so I go and I get it, and I dip it in dark chocolate. I was like, "Oh, this is really good." So now I have them. So every time somebody requests something, I'll try it. You know, I see how it comes out, and so now, okay, now these are non-Purells. These are like the little snow caps that I used to get in the movie theater. Only I make mine bigger.
Yes.
I make them in dark chocolate, I make them in milk chocolate, and I make them in white chocolate. Now, the Purells themselves, the little beads, they have really no flavor. You know, they're just kind of colored candy, that's about it. But when you add them to different flavored chocolates, they take on a whole different flavor on each chocolate that you're eating them on. How's a lollipop doing it? So these are pretty good. These are pretty tasty. I used to like them. I used to go to the movie theater and get the little white caps. I couldn't get enough of them in my mouth. You remember taking the end of the box and just open enough so you could pour it in
Oh,
your mouth?
yes. There was
Yeah.
no other way of eating them.
That was-
Otherwise, the little white dotty things would fall off.
I don't care. I just dumped them in my
Yeah.
mouth. I was like, these are really good. So we're still not ready?
I don't know what ready is.
Okay. They're good. All right.
And actually, they've only been in there like 5 minutes.
Has it only been 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so they got a
So-
couple more minutes.
Okay.
So in between, if there's anything anybody wants to know, you have any questions?
Where does chocolate come from?
It comes from most of them are in Mexico, or you can get them in Colombia. We don't really grow the cocoa here, but we do process it here. As a matter of fact, there's some candy stores that actually buy the pods and they process it themselves. And then, you know, they turn it into a $50 candy bar because there's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And when Hershey started, there really wasn't a lot of chocolate at that time. So this guy was messing with whatever he wanted to mess with in his kitchen. He came out with this candy. So he started giving it out to his neighborhood, his family, and it was really tasty. So then he says, I want to open up a store. So he opened up a store, and it didn't catch on. So he was like, it's just the state. I'm leaving. It's here. I'm going somewhere else. Well, the man went to several states, and they just didn't take off. He gets to Pennsylvania, and for some reason, it took off. Hence, Hershey, Pennsylvania. And and then from there he graduated to different things and started making things. Now other people are copying him because he's doing so well. Now and what he did was, he appreciated his people so much that when he started putting first he started with a factory. When he put the factory together, and now he has to get all these workers, so now he's getting all these workers and these people are living far away. How are we going to fix this? Now he doesn't want to lose his workers. These people are really good workers. So he starts building them houses. What he did was he built small cottages for his workers. And he was so known, and he started late in life. I thought I started late in life. I mean, like I said to my kids, who does this in their 60s? Me. He did the same thing. You know, so did Colonel Sanders with his chicken. So I was like, all right, that's okay. It's good. It's good.
Who's the largest processor of chocolate?
Who's
cocoa?
the what?
The largest processor.
I would have to say Nabisco, because Nabisco owns Mars, the Mars bars, the Crunch bars. And the company sold out, believe it or not, to a Muslim. They sold out to a Muslim, and I mean he loved candy so much. They have a lot of money. You know, he made his money in oil. So when he loved candy, because I want to own a candy business, but he didn't know what to do. So he made them an offer they couldn't refuse. So they are pretty much the biggest candy makers if you look on all the back of the candies. And I believe Hershey's was sold too, but I don't think it was sold to him. I think it was to somebody else. but they're still, yeah. And
They
I
actually
was,
just formed a school probably about 20, 30 years ago called Hershey Milton. And it's actually like a prep school from kindergarten through senior.
wow.
Where I work, one of the guy's sons goes there, and it's a whole program put on by Hershey. And they actually have a campus there.
That's nice, see?
And that's in the Hershey, Pennsylvania. They say they're factoring all the Hershey part where you go, but it's up on the hill. It's an actual school.
That's nice, see, I didn't know that, you learn something new every day.
I just found that out too. I was like, you mean they're going to Hershey, Pennsylvania? No, they actually have a school. It's called
That's
Hershey
nice.
Milton.
See, that's nice, so they give, a lot of these companies give back, you know, they just, which is a good thing, because that's what the Bible says, you have to pay it forward, you know. And, I do that a lot, you know, like one for you, one for me, one for you. You know, I think you'll like this, so I'll taste it first, let me taste it first. But, so, what is it now, another 2 minutes, another 3 minutes?
Let me check it.
Yeah, good girl.
Well, if they have a great microwave, they must have a great fridge.
Oh, this was fabulous, boom.
Fridge is older than me.
Oh,
So you take custom orders?
Yes. I can make any kind of candy you like. I do favors, anniversaries. I have almost 400 molds. So I could do Christmas molds. I do anniversaries, birthday parties, baby showers. You name it, I can make it.
You know I have to ask.
Another minute, Mom.
Hanukkah.
Yes, I have them.
Okay.
I have Hanukkah. Yeah, I think of everybody. I think of everybody. You know, even the bachelorettes. I
Oh,
got
I'm
stuff for bachelorettes too.
Even the furry friends.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Now, I thought chocolate wasn't good for our furry friends. Is that not true?
No, they can have carob.
Yeah. Karen.
They can have I make lollipops in the shape of paws or dog bones that the animals can actually have. Dogs can have them because it's made of carob. You know.
She's got great grandchildren she's gotta worry about that are furry. So she gotta make it
Yes.
You do the
I don't
yogurt
think
ones too.
cat
They love
would be-
those.
Yes.
I don't know if
I
cats
get the
like
yogurt
chocolate.
chips
Peanut
and
butter.
I melt them and put them in the mold too, and they're good for them also. And yes, you can dip the peanut butter inside. If sometimes I'll take peanut butter and I'll put it in with the carob, or I'll put it in with the. But I use the natural peanut butter because some dogs, there's a lot of chemicals in some of them. Because I eat natural peanut butter. Everybody in my family is like, how can you eat this?
It actually
Because-
is good after you stir it for 30 minutes.
Yeah, you do. You have to stir it, but it has nothing in it but peanuts, which is great. You know, so I mix that in sometimes with the yogurt. It makes it a little softer than without it, but the dogs love it. You know, you can't leave them out. You know, the girls have dogs. Teresa, with her heart of gold, brought me a little dog she rescued. His name is Jack. He's a little white Pomeranian, and he was about a year old when I got him. Now this is 12 years later, and I still have him. He's still my bestest friend. I just can't bring him to work. I feel bad when I gotta leave him home. But if I had a gift shop, I could bring him. But I have food, so you know. And he's a hairy little guy, but he's so sweet. He is. Oh, he's the sweetest little thing. And I said to him, finally, I met somebody who's older than me. Oh, I said,
Do you know when a dog is 7, they consider him a senior? I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
I just found that out.
Okay. So see.
Well, one dog here is 7 years and he
Yeah,
was-
my daughter-in-law is a vet tech, and she said they consider them at 7. They consider them senior.
Huh.
And I was like, I
Yeah,
thought it was like
he's
12 or
49.
13, you know. But she was like, no, they just not every dog like they'll be wild and they'll be able to be okay. And some dogs, it depends on the breed. But I was kind of upset about that because one of our dogs is going to be
5.
5,
He's just 5.
They
and the
have
other one is 4.
Teresa. They both have pit bulls, but
One's
they are
rescued.
they're sweet. They are just wonderful dogs.
And
It's
they're
not the
both
dog,
overweight.
it's the people.
It's how the people raise them. Yeah,
Isn't your dog a penny? Yeah.
and they're beautiful.
They are the biggest lap dogs.
They're
you'll
lap
ever find.
dogs.
Mhm.
They don't realize how big they are. It's hilarious, you know.
Especially
They wanna-
mine. Mine's huge.
Yeah.
She blames on me for giving him too many treats, but in my defense, I give the other dog the same amount of treats, and she's of average size, so I don't know what's wrong with him.
You can tell
They
they're
get
lifting
treats
it.
for breathing. Let's put it that way. They get treats for breathing.
It's so
Why
cute.
not?
Oh god.
So does my dog.
They're
They were
just,
rescue dogs, they started out behind the 8 ball, so we gotta make it up to them.
You got to.
Right.
The
That's
one was
right.
a rescue. She was, you know, unfortunately beat by males, so she's very
And never out of a
scared.
cage, so her legs
Mhm.
grew out.
Oh.
So it took a long time to get her straightened out in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they live a very
Now the
pampered
other
life.
one is just pampered from baby up, just pampered.
And they bring home a lot of strays, especially cats.
We now have 4, because
Why?
I do trap neuter release for my job, and if property owners donated, so I try to trap cats. And the ones we actually have, Teresa had cats of her own too, and then we brought one home that we found in a thing of oil. So it took us about a week to get him clean, and then he's the only orange cat in the house. Everybody else is black and white.
He's bad,
And
he's very bad.
He is the one that swings from the chandelier, but we won't get rid of him. And the other one had she'd been either hit in the head or had ear mites so bad that her head was tilted. So we ended up taking her to the vet, and then a couple $100 later, I was like, what am I gonna do? Take her back and, you know, be like, good luck. So that's it.
So far.
Sorry, Mom.
So far.
No, we're good. 4 cats, 2 dogs, we're good.
Yeah.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Yes. Now this here is a pretzel. I wanted to tell you earlier that you can also dip pretzels, round pretzels, pretzel bites. This one, I make the caramel, but I make caramel soft because I could never eat caramel because it would stick to my mouth. And then I couldn't open my mouth. I can't chew it. I'm like, try it. So now this is a soft one. So what I do is cut them in squares and I squeeze them and I pull them and I wrap them around this. So once they're wrapped around the pretzel, then I dip them, you know, but those are different things that you can try as well with pretzels. I also make gluten-free pretzels, just so you know.
Really don't have them.
But, alright, so now we have the lollipop. So when you just push it up a little bit, and it slides out, and it's shiny.
Oh,
So
very cute.
it's done. So that's
They
how.
are so pretty when they come out. They
Oh,
are
it's
so
so
pretty.
cute.
So, and now you let it cool down a little bit, because if you try to trim it while it's cold, it might crack on you. So you leave it at room temperature for about 10 minutes, and then you could use an X-Acto knife, you could use a small cutting knife, a cheese knife, and then you trim it, you know, and then, because you want it to look pretty, you know. Now you can do any kind of mold just like this if you're comfortable with that. Or you can make them in color. These are the color. Now they're filled with milk chocolate. So when you do this, I have it was my mother's idea, because I do a lot of colors, and I was constantly melting them in the microwave and do them and then put them back in. So my mother had said one day, she said, why don't you just take a heating pad and a cupcake tin, put your colors in it. She was right. So that's what I do. I have all my different colors, and as it starts to get down a little bit, I put more fresh color. You let it melt right away. So the first thing I would do is I do the center first. So I do all the centers, and then I put it in the fridge for a couple of minutes. Because if this is still wet and you go to do something else, they're gonna just, and then you gotta, you know, put it in the refrigerator, take it out, take everything out, start all over again. So as soon as that gets hard, then now the outside here, when I color that, I use a stick. Some people, like I said before, you get comfortable with what you want to, if you want to use a spoon. I use a lollipop stick, so I get in every corner. It's time consuming, but that's why I have a shop, because I love what I'm doing. So, and then when that mold is all done, when all your colors are done, the yellow, put it back in the refrigerator. Wait a couple of minutes, take it out, you look, you'll know right away if it's hard or not, because the color changes, the consistency changes. Now, you put it down for a couple of minutes, melt your chocolate in your oven, and then you pour your chocolate in, as I did before, tap it, and then you put your stick in, put it in the refrigerator. And it's pretty much the same amount of time with your colors as it is when you're doing just plain. And you can do that with any lollipops that you have. Now some lollipops I have call for 3 or 4 different colors. So, and that's what I'll do. I'll do 3 or 4 different colors. With each color, put it in the fridge, take it out, do another one, put it in the fridge, take it out. But then when it's done, you have a beautiful lollipop. So, and
And now you have beautiful lollipops.
and now this is our gift to you.
What type of chocolate chocolate do you prefer to work with? Do you have a choice? Milk chocolate, dark chocolate, Belgian chocolate?
Well, to tell you the truth, milk chocolate in any degree, Belgian chocolate, this kind of chocolate, gluten-free, it has a high content of butter. So it's creamier, it's easier to work with. The same thing with the dark chocolate in Belgium and the white chocolate in Belgium is the same way as the other chocolates. They taste different, the consistency is a little different, but I mean, they all still taste good. But the melting process is a little different. One's like the dark chocolate is thick. Sometimes the white chocolate's a little thick, and you got to keep stirring it and stirring it to get to where you want to be. And it's the same thing with all these other. They're gluten-free. The milk I find is easier to work with because it smooths easier, it melts quicker, it melts. I kind of like working with the milk. But most of my customers that do come in the door, they prefer dark chocolate. They really like, because I've been making so much of it that people say, do you have milk chocolate? I'm like, what's that? Yeah, it's over there. You can have that one. But, so what I wanted to show you, when your product is done and you want to wrap it up, you find the bags, because sometimes bags are tricky, depending on what you're making. Now, all right, say this was trimmed, and then you just stick it in your bag. You make sure, like I said earlier, you have to try your bags with your mold. See what bag's gonna fit. Because even now, I've been doing chocolate for years, but every once in a while, I think, oh, this bag will work. And then when the product is done, nope, it's not gonna work. So I gotta run back, go through all the dressers, because I have these like little dressers in my storeroom, and they're all different size bags. And I gotta grab that one, come running back out. Is that gonna work? So you just try to save yourself some time and legwork. And then you just, however you wanna, some people use tape, some people use, now you can take it, you just squeeze it and you take ribbon. I find the curling ribbon works really well because that's easier to handle. Unless I'm making a bigger package, then I'll use bigger ribbons. And for the bigger ribbons, I prefer the wire ribbons because they hold up better. Especially if you're gonna make a gift basket, they seem to hold up much better. And then your product is done. But I find these, cause I bought all the little silk ribbons, you know, to put on things. And I didn't like the way some of them look. They only look good on certain things. But I was like, I like these better. I have a lot of different colors. They're just great. You curl them, 1, 2, 3, and it looks nice. It looks pretty. So
These are wonderful, thank you.
oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so happy you guys came. You know.
Wait, this is a couple ounces.
Yeah, it's really tasty. You're gonna like that.
It's not gonna be around for long.
I have sunflowers in my kitchen, so I'm just gonna hang it in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. You have,
And then in the morning
you,
we'll be
if you
gone.
get candy, you get you don't have to keep them in the fridge. Whatever candy you get from anywhere, you don't have to keep it in the fridge. You can keep it on a counter. You can keep, unless it comes with a label that it has to be refrigerated. If it has to be refrigerated, it's because the cream that's inside. You know, if you make a lot of good, my truffles I make with cream. You know, some of my fillings are made with cream. So I can't make a whole lot at one time because I have a commercial refrigerator in the back, but I don't have anything to put in the front because my shop's too small. So I have to watch everything I'm making and to know some people have to pre-order from me first in order for me to make them whatever they like. The same thing with some of my pastries and my cannolis. You can't, some of them, if you're making stuff at home and you make a cannoli and you're having a party 2 days from now, not a good idea. Wait till the last minute and then do a lot of your stuff that anything has cream in it. If you're making pies or, you know, you find that if you make it too soon ahead of time, try to always keep your desserts some of the last things that you do. Try to get everything, or schedule something where if you're making a turkey and you're making, try to get your stuff done first and then make your desserts, because otherwise your desserts could fall apart, you know. And then you're standing there and like, okay, what am I gonna do with this? I'm just gonna have to eat it. That's all. But does anybody have any more questions? Is there any requests? If you come to the next one, is there something else you wanna see, you wanna try?
Do you mail your chocolates out?
Only on certain things, because the one thing I worry about, you can't mail anything from May to October, because it
Okay,
will melt. Unless, if it's a big order, I can pack it in dry ice. But for the most part, now I get some people that come in at Christmas time, they wanna send something to Colorado, they wanna send,
Croatia?
Yeah, sure.
yeah, and I tell them, if you're gonna ship something, put dry ice in the box, and always write fragile on the box, cause no matter what it is, I don't care what they tell you, those boxes are flying, boom, they're not gentle with the boxes at all, at all. But, yeah, I used to do some shipping, I try to stay away from it too much, because if something happens, they'll call me. Oh, it's broken, you know, I don't mind sending them another one, but there's no guarantee that one's gonna be safe when it gets there, you know, but a lot of times the people will call me, I'll deliver stuff to people too, if somebody will call up and say, listen, I need a dozen of these, can you bring them? Well, where are you, you know, oh yeah, I'm just like here in Walker Valley, or I'm over here in Walden, I'm here, okay, so I'll shut the, back in 5 minutes, you know, which actually I'm back a half hour later, you know, and I'll deliver it for them, you know, because some people, I'm there to make everybody happy, you know, pretty much, you know, if you're happy, I'm happy, you'll come back.
You have candy, everybody.